Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jonathan, and in today's video we are going to be looking at the best Victorinox knife for the Techie. This is the Victorinox Cyber Tool Lite.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So what do I mean by Techie? Well, I mean the sort of person that would really appreciate this tool. This is a precision screwdriver with interchangeable bits, and those bits are stored within the knife itself. And the sort of person that would really appreciate and make use of a tool like this would be somebody like a computer technician, perhaps an electronics engineer, or in my case, this would have been perfect for me some years back when I used to build and fly racing drones littered with small screws, and this would have been the perfect Victorinox for me, primarily because of this precision screwdriver. And with a couple of notable exceptions, you can only find this tool on the Cyber Tool range, and that range consists of 4 models, and I'll go into the differences between the models later in the video. But this particular one is my favorite, and this is the Cyber Tool Lite. And Lite refers to the fact that it has a built-in flashlight rather than anything to do with the weight. So a little bit of history. The Cyber Tool range was introduced in the year 2000. So this is a 21st century Victorinox knife. Victorinox don't introduce a new tool very often, but when they do, they really do a good job, and this screwdriver is no exception. It is a really well engineered and thought out addition to this Victorinox, and it comes with these translucent red scales, which I think look really cool. There is one of the models, which I'll come to later, which has an option of a blue translucent scale, but the standard is the red, and that would be my preferred color. Okay, so I'm going to start with this screwdriver. This is really cleverly thought through in the way it works. For a start, it's an inline screwdriver, so it's very easy to use. It's right in the center of the knife, so you get maximum torque. You can have it at the 90-degree mark to give it even more torque. The bit rack hides underneath the screwdriver when it's folded away. It comes with 4 bits, one already in the screwdriver itself and then 3 more in the rack, but each one of these is double-ended, so you have effectively 8 screwdriver bits to choose from, and they consist of the following. We have a 4mm flat head, and on the other end of that you have a Phillips number 2. Then we also have a double-ended posi drive. Now the difference between posi drive and Phillips is that the posi drive is a newer invention, and the difference between the two is that the posi drive has 8 radial slots rather than 4. So basically you get a better grip. This particular bit is a double-ended posi drive, and that is a posi drive 0 and a posi drive 1. Also we have a 4mm hex and a Torx number 8, and finally we have a Torx 10 and a Torx 15. If you lose one, you can buy them, and the retail price for the replacement bit was £3.95 including tax in the UK. As you can see, when you fold the bit rack away, the screwdriver folds on top of it. And then really cleverly you can see that the bit that's already held in the screwdriver will not fall out, because the design ensures that it cannot get past this part of the tool rack. So the bits can't fall out from underneath the screwdriver, and the one in the screwdriver can't fall out either. So a really cleverly well engineered design, and the real unique selling point of this Cyber Tool. Now the element that gives the Cyber Tool Lite its name is this flashlight, and this is really used in conjunction with the screwdriver, because if you are trying to tackle a screw in a small area, there's a good chance it will be in shadow or in darkness, and you can use this flashlight to illuminate the working area, and it's really effective. In here we have some batteries. They are CR1225s, easy to get a hold of. I had a quick look on Amazon and you could get 5 for about £4, and they are 3-volt lithium button cells, normally found in watches. I don't know what the battery life is, but considering you are only using the flashlight momentarily, it should last for a long time. And it can operate in 2 ways, the flashlight. It's generally kept in that position. You only need to open it up when you want to access the batteries, and you can press down on the switch to switch it on momentarily, or you can pull the switch back and it switches it on permanently. Then when you are using it in a confined space, for example, it illuminates the working area, and it really does make a difference. Even if you've got general reasonable light around you, it's amazing how much easier it is to use with this light, which is why I really like this model. Okay, and then you have the pliers. This can obviously be used for things like bending wires or picking things up. Imagine them like a very precision set of tweezers with a long reach. They are obviously spring loaded and really effective in the way they work. You'll also notice here we have a wire crimper, which is great to have as well. And these can be used to grip or turn. Imagine small nuts and bolts bending wire into shape, picking things up. There's a lot of ways this small set of pliers can be used, particularly when you're dealing with small objects in a confined area. Before I flew drones, I used to fly radio controlled aircraft when I was much younger, and this sort of tool would be perfect when you're trying to bend servo wires into place, for example. So I can really see the value in this for electronic engineers, for computer technicians working with wires and components, maybe needing to pull a component out of a circuit board. Yeah, it's a really nice tool to have. Not exclusive to the Cyber Tool, it can be found on some other Victorinox knives, but I think it's a really good addition for this particular tool. Okay, and then opposite the flashlight we have the magnifying glass. Now, I really like the magnifying glass, and it's partly because I'm quite old and my eyesight is failing, and I often find myself trying to look at small print in instruction manuals or on various bits of equipment, and my glasses just don't cut it anymore for getting up close. If I lose my glasses, I can also use this as a kind of emergency reading aid, because you can, without my glasses, still read things which I wouldn't be able to read at all otherwise with this magnifying glass. So I do like it for that reason as well. It does look a little bit cheap and plasticky, but it actually is a glass lens here with a 6x magnification. I've done more of a full review on this magnifying glass in my review on the Victorinox Explorer. So if you want to know more about the history and background of the magnifying glass, then check out that video. Okay, and then we get on to the scissors. As you might know if you've seen any of my other videos, the scissors are an essential for me on a Victorinox knife, and that is because they are really good. When you're unboxing something, you sometimes find that things are tied in place with a tie wrap. If you've ever tried to cut that off with a knife, you'll know how much more useful scissors can be in certain situations. So the scissors are great for snipping things like tie wraps. And imagine if you want to cut a bit of tape, then again, using a knife is challenging and hazardous, whereas this does it with ease. As I say, one of my favorite tools, and every Victorinox knife I have has the scissors on it. It's that important to me. Then let's have a quick look at the general tools you'll find on most Victorinox knives, not all, but most. That is the small blade. This is the same profile as the larger blade. It's a drop point blade. It's pretty sharp straight out the box. All these tools use a high quality stainless steel, so it's not the hardest material as far as knives go, but it does make it easier to keep sharp. People often wonder why you want a small secondary blade. and people use it for different reasons. It is actually easier and in some cases safer to use. Say, for example, if you're using it for opening boxes, then you're not wielding such a big blade unnecessarily. So it's good in that respect, and some people choose not to use it at all until it might be needed in an emergency, at which point you can guarantee that it's always kept super sharp. So nice to have that backup blade. Then you have the main blade. The main reason a lot of people carry a Victorinox knife is for the knife, drop point profile, under 3 inches and non-lock-in, which makes it legal in most countries and certainly in the UK. Then we have 2 more tools on this side of the knife that you will see on most Victorinox knives. Here we have the can opener and small screwdriver, and this is a small flathead screwdriver but also doubles up as a Phillips screwdriver for more kind of emergency use, and it's really for bigger Phillips screws than the bit changer screwdriver we have here. I'm not sure why you would want a can opener on a knife like this. For me, the can opener is what you would have on an outdoor knife like the Huntsman. So not my favorite tool for this sort of purpose, but it's there. The other one, which is more useful, is a big screwdriver stroke scraper stroke pry tool. So that does have some real use. It's obviously much bigger than the screwdriver that's built into here, so that's good. There's a bottle opener there, perhaps more functional I would say than a can opener, and also there's the wire stripper there built in too. So this is a functional and useful tool and definitely worth having in this knife. It also locks out at a 90-degree position to give you extra leverage if you want to use it in that way. Then we have the tools on the back of the knife, and we have 3 here. One is the corkscrew. Obviously it has some use in opening a bottle of wine, but it also is a holder for this very small screwdriver. This is a tiny flathead that most people associate with tightening screws on glasses or sunglasses, so it has some real use there. It's also good for small scraping tasks as well. The corkscrew can have some other functionality as well. It's good, for example, for unknotting knots and various things like that. I talk about this more in my review of the Huntsman, which in my view is the best outdoor Victorinox. So if you want to know more about the corkscrew and what it can do, then check out that video. Also on the back we have the famous or infamous hook. This dates back to the days when parcels were wrapped in string, and this would be a parcel hook carrier. It has other functionality, including carrying things like carrier bags to stop it digging into your fingers, and pulling out tent pegs and various other things. I don't use it a lot. Some people really like it, some people don't like it at all, but it's there and it's on the back of this knife along with the awl. And this I do find useful. If you want to create a pilot hole in some wood, this is the perfect tool. If you are looking to push this through some, say, fabric or leather and thread something through that sewing iron, pulling back through, it's actually got quite a sharp scraping edge here as well, which adds to the functionality. So that's a nice one to have, and one of the most useful back tools on this knife. So that brings us nicely to the scale tools. Like most Victorinox knives with these ABS or solid ore scales, this knife is equipped with tweezers. They are really useful and quite precision, and again, for this type of application I think it's a great thing to include. On the other side we have the toothpick. I'm not a big fan of the toothpick, but it is useful as a kind of miniature scraping tool. If you've got ear pods, for example, and they are full of your earwax, nice, yes I know, then this can be used to scrape them out. So lightweight scraping tasks as well as picking your teeth, not necessarily at the same time. So they are what most people expect in the scale tools. But because the Cyber Tool range all have the plus tools, you also get the addition of this pen, and I really like this pen. This is a pressurized refill, so it will write upside down. It's a great emergency pen to have. It fits perfectly in this kind of urban environment. There's no refill to replace once this runs out, but you can get them and they're quite affordable. So with the scale tools, you now have the pen, the toothpick and the tweezers. And then one thing I nearly missed, underneath the corkscrew you have this pin. Now not everybody knows that they have a pin under the corkscrew, and some of the Victorinox knives with a corkscrew don't come with a pin, but they all come with the hole for the pin. So if you don't have a pin with yours, then buy a pin and stick it in there, and that pin is really useful to have. And it might be getting out splinters or doing scraping tasks or setting the timer on something or ejecting a SIM card. So there you have it. That is a tool set. As I said, the Cyber Tool Lite is my favorite, but you might want to pick and choose from the others in the Cyber Tool range, and I'm just about to go through those differences now. Okay, let's have a look at the different models in the Cyber Tool range. There are 4 to choose from. All the Cyber Tools are 91mm in length, not too big, which generally means the blade length takes it outside the legal carry in the UK, but also not too small where it becomes less practical in terms of its use. In terms of the tool set, they vary a little bit, and in terms of weight and dimensions, they vary a little bit as well. So let's get into that. This one is the Cyber Tool Lite, as you know. This width here is 34.5mm and it weighs in at 173 grams, and in the UK, including tax, costs £105. The smallest Cyber Tool is called the S for small, and the width is 21.5mm and it weighs in at 96 grams, and it costs in the UK £75 including tax. What you are missing with the small is there is no torch and no magnifying glass and no pliers, and on the back of the knife there is no hook. I can manage without the hook, but the lack of pliers and the lack of the torch and the magnifying lens is a deal breaker for me, but it might be okay for you. Then we have the M, which is the medium. The width of that one is 28mm and it weighs in at 153 grams. It retails for £91 in the UK, including tax. And the extra feature the M has is that you can buy it with blue translucent scales as well as red. And it's the only Cyber Tool in the range where you can choose a different colour for the scales. On the downside, there is no flashlight and no magnifying glass, and I really like those, so that is a reason for me not to buy it. And then we have the L, or the large. So that has a width of 33.5mm, so very close to the width of the Lite. It weighs in at 187 grams, so it's the heaviest of all the Cyber Tools, and it retails in the UK at £115 including tax, so it is also the most expensive. What you don't get is the torch and the magnifying glass, so that combination is only available on the Lite, and that's why I like it so much. But if you don't need that, then the benefit you get with the large is it adds the file and the saw that so many people like. Really practical things to have, both of those, and if that is your priority, then the L or the large could be the one for you. As I mentioned before, this screwdriver with the interchangeable bits is what really sets the Cyber Tool apart from 2 notable exceptions, and that is the Swiss Champ XLT and the Swiss Champ XXL. Both of those are quite unusual knives. They're expensive and they're very big, and in my view are very niche. The XXL, for example, has 2 of these screwdrivers with interchangeable bits with different bits, and I don't really see why you would want two of the screwdrivers themselves, bearing in mind you can only use one at once. So I think that is a little bit unnecessary. Other than those two outsiders, the screwdriver is unique to the Cyber Tool range. And it's interesting to note that the Swiss Champ, which generally carries all the main tools you would want, doesn't have this interchangeable bit screwdriver. So in conclusion, I really like this. It feels really well made, like all Victorinox knives. The screwdriver is a real treat. I like the light. I really like the magnifying lens. It's got the scissors, it's got the pliers that are genuinely useful, and in my view, the best Victorinox knife you can buy if you are a techie. I hope that's been useful. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.